recording here.
Sorry.
Test.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey y'all, I'm Sarah Nicole Lemon. I am the author of the forthcoming Done Dirt Cheap from Amulet Abrams in March 2017. I'm actually on vacation right now, and I thought it was a great time to catch up with Carrie and Tracy. Tracy Chi and Carrie Maniscalco are two authors who are debuting.
And the reason I have matches is because we're Poelleans and
I've read Tracy and Carrie's book, but I really don't want to have to put you through me talking about them. Wait, what did I want to say? So why don't Tracy and Carrie, you tell us a little bit about yourself and your books.
Hi, my name is Tracy Chi, and I am the author of this new young adult fantasy called The Reader. It's about this girl here named Stephia. She's 16 years old, and she has had pretty much everything taken from her. Her mother is dead, her father has been murdered, her aunt was just pretty brutally kidnapped right in front of her face. And the only clue she has to why this is happening is a book. Now, the problem is that in her society, reading is pretty much unheard of. So if she wants to exact revenge on the people who destroyed her family, she has to learn how to read before those people find her first.
Hi, my name is Carrie Maniscalco, and I wrote a YA Gothic horror called Stalking Jack the Ripper. In a nutshell, Stalking Jack the Ripper is what I like to describe as a Victorian-era CSI, where a 17-year-old lord's daughter discovers that some buried secrets simply will not stay dead. It's basically the story of Audrey Rose, and she is on a mission to go out and stop Jack the Ripper before he can hurt any other women.
You all do amazing world building in your books. That was one of my favorite parts of both Stalking Jack the Ripper and The Reader is the world. So how did you go about putting that together?
World building is hands down one of my favorite things to write. For Stalking Jack the Ripper, I basically took everything I love and I just kind of combined it all into it. I love history. I love the grittiness of Victorian London. I love London. I love the whole feeling that there's fog and creepy things and you hear the gas lamps and they're hissing and they kind of just take on this whole dimension of their own, and you never know what's gonna come popping out at you as you're creeping down an alleyway. It might be a cat, it might be Jack the Ripper, you don't know. So I really took my love of gothic settings and Poe's whole essence of characters hearing things and that kind of play on reality versus fantasy and what we picture in our minds. So for me, that was one of my favorite parts of world building for Stalking Jack the Ripper, just kind of playing on our base senses of fear.
Well, I grew up in the California Gold Country, which is full of rocks and mountains and unexplored places. So even though The Reader is set in this world of oceans and island kingdoms, I really wanted to give it this feeling of a romanticized version of the American Wild West, full of, pioneers and cowboys whose ships are their horses and whose wild frontier is the Great Blue Sea.
So Carrie and Tracy, I want to know what attracted you to historical and fantasy, and also what makes your book special in those genres?
Okay, so when I was in elementary school, I had this amazing teacher named Mrs. McDonald, and every year, in addition to teaching us normal things like math and spelling, she would also give us a unit on something a little bit more interesting. Like one year it was fairy tales, and one year it was dragons. So I did this book report on one of the dragon riders of Pern novels, and I completely fell in love with fantasy, and I just never looked back. If you are a fantasy fan, you can look forward to cursed weapons, assassins, those cowboy pirates we talked about, a romance that takes its time, a little bit of revenge, and a fantasy world that you can just slowly sink into.
I love everything about the fall. So for me, when I decided to write a YA Gothic horror, it was kind of just a natural segue into the creepy, sleeping with the lights on kind of read. I also took my love of Gothic novels because I love that historicals feel like a fantasy. You can feel like you're in this dark fantasy world. and yet it's something that's familiar but kind of foreign at the same time and magical. And yeah, I just really took my love for fall and that kind of read and I put it into Stalking Jack the Ripper. So I hope that readers who enjoy that sort of thing really like it too.
All represented by Barbara. She's an amazing agent, and I happen to think that she kind of really reminds me of what you want Miranda Lambert to be like in real life. I told her that, she was like, "You're the only person I've ever said that to me." So Carrie and Tracy, I want to know your best Barbara stories.
My best Barbara story is when I had first signed with her, and it was for a different project before Stalking Jack the Ripper, and we had gone out in submission, and I was a whole newbie to the whole thing with what happens with this mythical land of submission, what goes on, I have no idea, I'm so nervous. And I remember a couple of days after we had gone out in submission, Barbara sent me an email, and when I opened it up, it was this picture of my submission list, and on it, there was a coffee stain, and the coffee stain was, I swear to God, it was in the shape of a Godzilla bunny. So Barbara just thought it was the most positive sign that Godzilla bunny was going to come in and just, shake things up with the publishing houses, and I didn't disagree. So yeah, that's always been my favorite Barbara story. There are a whole bunch more, but that's always been, it really just made me feel so much better about being on sub and just trusting that everything was going to be okay.
You know when you meet someone and within like 2 minutes of talking to them, you're just like, oh my God, please be my friend forever. That's kind of the reaction I had the first time I ever talked to Barbara. We were on the phone talking about my book, and I was like, but Barbara, what happens if we can't sell my book? And she was like, I will knock on doors until my knuckles bleed. And I was like, yes, yes, that's amazing. So now I picture her with like a sword and a shield riding into work on the back of a dragon, because she's amazing like that.
3 final questions. What is your favorite drink, favorite snack, and current favorite music?
When I am out on the town, having a ball, I like to order a Shirley Temple. And I've had this secret dream since I was a kid, to get famous enough so that when you ordered a Shirley Temple with enough cherries to cover like the top of the glass, they wouldn't call it a Shirley Temple, they would call it a Tracy Chi. So if any of you want to help me out with this secret childhood dream, please start ordering Tracy Cheese, which are Shirley Temples, with a lot of cherries. I like fruit. Peaches, nectarines, watermelon, blueberries, blackberries. Fruit is the yummiest thing. Right now, I am building a bunch of playlists for the reader out of this like bluesy, folksy rock.
My favorite non-alcoholic drink is yerba mate tea. I drink it every morning with a little bit of almond milk. And my favorite alcoholic beverage, I would have to say, is a toss-up between chilled sangria, because it's perfect on really hot southern nights, or a good old-fashioned, because I really, really like whiskey. My favorite snack is steamed edamame with salt, because I just really can't get enough of it. I actually used to write about music, so I've always been really drawn to indie bands and singer-songwriters. I did have a phase where I really liked hardcore punk, but yeah, if I had to choose my favorite current, it's definitely still in the indie family. I can't choose one, but yeah, I love music in general, so it's one of my favorite things in the world besides reading and writing.
Did I talk about my book?
I think you did.
We did who?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Hi, I'm Tracy Tree. Hi, I'm Tracy Tree.
Because adult.
Hi.
What was my question?
Do it again. A choir robe, so if you're into that.
Man, I almost did my bang.
I'm Carrie.
Did I get
Heartbreaker.
Do you like my words? I should probably be a writer. They're really awesome.